assistant. My assistant usually helps me out, but she's not gonna be on tonight.
Okay.
Okay. So it'll be like, it's like a little delay. All right. It's going live stream. All right.
Okay.
You got it?
Got it.
All right. We're on Facebook Live. Okay.
All right.
So I will, good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you for joining us wherever you're joining us, whether you're on Facebook Live, whether you are going to tune in on YouTube. I just want to say thank you for joining us. We have a very interesting show tonight. A chat with my sister. And I say my sister because we've been sisters since 84, right?
Yeah.
84, 83.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting conversation because of how close we are to each other and how close we are to this topic of heart disease and taking care of your heart and taking care of your health. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Dr. LaShawn Stitt, and I am the founder of Educate the World. We are an organization, entire organization, a safe space that is really has been developed for families in the Baltimore County area. But this year we've decided to expand our reach and to try to reach as many families and youth as we can to spread the word about healthy living, financial literacy, economic development, academic, and increasing your academic base. And tonight we're going to talk about, because this is Heart Healthy Month as well as Black History Month. I want to be clear, because it's Black History 365. So it's not, this is not specific to Black history. This is specific to us taking care of ourselves, our health, our hearts. And this particular chat tonight is near and dear to me because of the personal connection I have. My mom passed away in 2017 of heart disease, and my sister is a nurse, and so she has a wealth of information to share. And I wish my mother was able to get that information so that she could have lived a little bit longer. But this is where we are, and this is the purpose of tonight's conversation. And so I'm going to introduce my sister, Hilary Heard, a nurse, Hilary Heard. She's a registered nurse in the state of Georgia and has been in the nursing field for over 25 years. I will allow her to just share her information and all her background and expertise with you. But we started our journey as sisters in high school, in A. Philip Randolph Campus High School. And I won't necessarily give our ages away, but we're over the halfway mark. We're like half a century, I'll put it like that. And so this has been something, this has been a relationship, a connection for years. And just a little bit about Hilary. Hilary's mom was a nurse, and Hilary's a nurse. My mom was an educator, and I'm an educator. So that's the the parallel there. But the connection is that we are both Sagittarians. Both of our mothers are Capricorns, born on the same day. Okay. Right. So it's more than just that, A. Philip Randolph, such and such and such. It's levels of a connection here. And when I reached out and asked her, because I've had, Brian Watts from campus was one of my first guests. And when I reached out, she was like, no problem, I got you. Because I think the conversations that we have are so personal and intimate that it's important for us to share with our family, our friends, our loved ones. And so I'm not going to talk too much longer. I'm going to let my sister share her background and who she is and tell y'all who she is.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, LaShawn. And I'm Hilary. I've been a nurse now for over 25 years. I have worked a number of specialty units, but my favorite is critical care. I've worked women's health, labor and delivery, med surg, ICU. I've just worked a number of areas. But most important, doesn't matter how many areas I've worked, most important is that we do have to take care of ourselves. And I had started to kind of talk about how we work and work, we give ourselves, and basically we work from a point of depletion. You know, I've done it. Sometimes I still do it. You just run and run and run, and before you know it, you haven't gone to the bathroom, you haven't eaten lunch or anything. But what you know, it's crazy. Your mom passed away from heart disease. My mom passed away from heart disease. And I don't know if you know this, my mother was one of 12. All have died from massive heart attacks. So I've been treated or just kind of been monitored for heart disease since I was maybe like 29, 30 years old.
Wow.
So I've been followed by a cardiologist for many years.
Yeah.
But what's key is just some of the basic fundamentals of healthcare, like going to your primary care doctor,
Yeah, you just start
partnering with
saying
your,
that.
yeah, you know, partnering with your primary care doctor and knowing and understanding, okay, what's the goal of this visit? If you are on medication, you know, medications for your blood pressure,
Right.
well, what's the goal? You know, have you talked about, hey, if my blood pressure is 130 over 70, is that okay? Or is it 129 over 80? Or, you know, should I be checking my cholesterol once a year or twice a year? Should we kind of review our medication or your medication regimen? Weight management, that's big.
Yeah.
It's especially for the African American community, not just us, but you know, period. Weight is a biggie, making sure that you are within, you know, a normal weight or a weight that's healthy
Right.
for you. Eating a well-balanced diet. I know it sounds like kind of like, oh, well-balanced diet. Maybe, hey, I grab something, you know, on my way to
Right.
work and I'm lucky if I grab lunch. But knowing how to read your labels, that's important. Looking at the contents of, you know, what you're eating, looking at the packaging of what you're eating. All of those things are just key to just being healthy. Getting enough sleep. I can't tell you many of nights, you know, or many of days I've worked on 4 hours of sleep,
I know.
you know.
And
So
go ahead.
that's
I'm sorry.
important. No. That's just important to overall health. Again, you can be on one medicine. You can look like a picture health, 120 pounds, and you'd be surprised how many people I take care of, 35 years old, 34 years old, 5'8", 150 pounds, and have had a major stroke. You know, you just want to kind of take care of those basics, like going to your primary care doctor, knowing your numbers, know, well, what's a normal cholesterol level? What
Right.
should my blood pressure be? Well, I think I look fine. You know, I look okay, but what weight should I, you know, what's a good weight loss goal, or what should my weight be for my height? Those are things when you go in for your annual physical, those are some of the questions or some of the things you probably need to touch on and clarify with your physician, because nowadays, you know, it's not about, you know, well, the doctor said everything is okay. It's really about partnering.
Right.
You need to partner. So, you know, you need to have, anytime you go into any physician's office, you should have at least 2 or 3 questions and have those questions answered when you come out of your office visit. That's just really important.
You know, I'm taking notes, right?
Mhm.
I honestly, and you know, I shared with you earlier that I'm on blood pressure medication. I'm on cholesterol medication. And this is the first time, matter of fact, in November, I went for my annual, you know, they do all the blood work, blah, blah, blah. And I have been like, when I had my knee surgery, when I had the total knee replacement, my blood pressure was elevated, but it was high enough where, you know, it was a little concern, but then it kind of leveled out a little bit and then it went back up. And I went to the doctor's office for my annual physical, and the nurse took my blood pressure 2 times, and both times it was like 180 over, it was 180 over 80 something. No, 180 over 90 something, 96 or something like that. And then it was 186 over, it was like the numbers were crazy. And she said, "Miss Stitt," and I was like, okay, here we go, here we go. She was like, you know, I'm gonna do this again, but I'm gonna actually make note of it, because the last couple of visits, because you know I had to go back for follow-up and everything, the last couple of visits, your blood pressure has been high, right? Not just elevated, it's been high. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, that last reading, she was like, I'm gonna tell Dr. Goldsman. And she wrote it in. And when I went into his office, he was like, this is, I'm not happy with this. He said, and I don't want you to be happy with it, you know? And I was like, okay, so what does that mean? You know, can I do something about it? And so he gave me, you know, a prescription for medication. I was not happy. And it's the low dose. I have, I'm taking amlodipine and, oh God, what's the other one? It's another A. Amlodipine and whatever the other, I can't remember it. I take it, but I can't remember. Oh shit.
Metoprolol?
Yeah, that's it. And I was like, I kind of felt hurt a little bit, because I was like, I've been doing good. Like I have been, even through pregnancies, you know, it gets high and then it went back. I really haven't. I don't eat meat. I don't drink milk. I don't eat salty foods. Like I'm saying, what could it be other than the sweets that I like, the bread that I like to eat, the cheese that I like on the bread, and the fact that, you know, when your mom passed away, I know we all deal with grief in a different way. I didn't really pay attention. I was just going through the motions, but I had gained so much weight that it really took a toll on me. And then it was like, wait a minute, I wasn't exercising. It was just crazy. So all of that kind of went out of whack. Brian Watts is tuning in. He said, campus ladies. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
It was crazy. And it was more of a shock to me. Like, wow, I never thought, like, I remember my mother taking mad medication and I was like, I don't want to be like that. But now I'm saying, okay, now you got 2. That's not cool. And I think for some of us, like over 50, it's a wake up call. But for me, I don't want to continue to take medication. I really want to know, besides losing weight, because you said it, besides the weight, maintaining your weight and like a healthy, balanced diet. Not just, okay, no, I don't eat meat or any of that, but I need to have more vegetables and so forth. And sleep, you know this, you sleep 4 hours, sometimes 3, you know, we do what we have to do. But I'm like, I really have to make a change because I know what the end result can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, I'm sorry. Keep in mind, you know, LaShawn, sometimes you have factors that you can change and factors that you can't change. Genetics is one. This high blood pressure may just be in your family. So you already have a strike, if you will. You cannot change your age. You cannot change your gender. Maybe you could, but that's another conversation. Yeah, that's another conversation. But there are certain things that you just cannot change. However, there are things that you can change, such as if you have like more than 2 cocktails, you know, at night to kind of wind down, well, maybe I better drop that down to 1. Okay. Let me see if I can get a little bit more mobile. If you are one that, you know, a lot of your work requires for you to be at a desk, you know, communicating with folks or working from home, That's a great environment to pick up pounds and
Right.
not be as mobile. If it means you need to break away from that desk and walk around the neighborhood, walk around the neighborhood. You'd be surprised just walking how that really circulates the blood, and that activity can really help to lower your blood pressure. I was working at Aetna, I think. Yeah, I think I was working at Aetna, and I was sitting at the desk and my head was killing me. And I couldn't figure out, why is my head hurting me so bad? I took my blood pressure, one of those little like kiosk stations where you can just slip your arm in. My
Right.
blood pressure was like 192 over 107. I was like, no, this can't be real. But it was. Yeah, it was. That was my blood pressure. But what it taught, well, when I saw the nurse practitioner that was there, and I was like, hey, I don't feel well. I'm having a headache and so on and so forth. She started to ask me, well, and I'm a nurse. What are you taking? Oh, I take Norvasc. How much? Once a day. Did the doctor tell you where he wanted your blood pressure to be? What's the goal?
There you go.
No.
I
You know what?
never-
I didn't even ask. I
Right.
never even asked. All I know is he said, take it. Let me take it.
Right.
It's not magic. You really need to know, because I'll tell you, everyone in my family has high blood pressure. Now,
Mhm.
I had an aunt, which is my mom's youngest sister. She was the last one to pass away. But I had went with her to one of her primary care visits once, and he said, you know what, Carol? Your pressure typically is 200 over 100. I know I cannot drop your pressure so fast. He said, so Carol, if I can keep your blood pressure 140, 150 over like 70, he said, I'm okay. Because if my aunt's blood pressure was like 120 over 70, where it should be,
Right.
she felt sick. She felt sick as a dog. It's because her body was so used to those high
Right.
pressures. It's like her body acclimated to that. That's not good. That's not
Right.
good at all. So these are just fun. This is not like some high tech, high hat science talk.
Right.
This is just basic stuff. You
Right.
go to your primary care appointment. Hey doc, I'm on 2 blood pressure medicine. What's the goal?
Right.
Where should when I check my blood pressure once a week or once a month or whatever, where should my blood pressure be? Doc, you think I need to check my cholesterol? Oh, you checked it already. What was it? Is there anything I need to do? Sometimes, provide, and it's not to put shift the blame on providers. It's hard. It's
Right.
hard, but it's really important that we take ownership for our
Right.
health. We take
Right.
ownership and we partner with the physician. Well, what is a good weight for me? I feel fine like this. Sir, you're 50 pounds overweight. Oh, well, I
Right.
felt good.
Right.
But maybe no, no, you're not doing good, because your lab work is affected, your kidneys are affected, your blood pressure is high, you're
Right.
at risk for stroke. These are just some of the things that when you go into your annual visit, make it count. Where should my cholesterol be? What is it? You're increasing the medicine? Why?
Let me ask you this, because I just like you didn't even think about asking what the goal was. I didn't even think about asking what the goal was. I'm just thinking about bringing it down. I'm just like, I don't want it to be high. That's my biggest thing. I never even thought about that. So that's something I really, really want to. I took my notes, you know that.
Mhm.
But when you think about like I'm gonna get back to the well-balanced diet for a minute. All of the food, the majority of the foods that we eat are packaged. They have so much
Mhm.
sodium. They have this, they have, all of these things. I know that we, are in another age group, but you have younger people, young folks who have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and they're active. I guess that's the saving grace, that they're active. But
Mhm.
if you, like you said, you factor in genetics and you factor in the eating habits that they have, by the time they get to be our age, if they get to our age,
That's
they're
right.
going to be in trouble. So as parents, because we're both mothers, so as parents, it's like, okay, what do you do to kind of combat that? How would if I don't have little ones, but
Right.
my teenagers want
So
to eat everything that they shouldn't eat anyway. But
right.
what can a parent do?
Well, it's easier to change eating habits of someone who is younger
Mhm.
than when they're older. It's just easier.
Right.
You start to introduce more fruits and veggies. Um, I just looked at an article, and well, first you teach them how to read
Right.
labels
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of knowing what's going into your body. Um, Meal planning.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they can do it all the time,
Right.
but even if they can get one meal in, instead of buying wings for lunch or whatever, hey, why don't we do, a salad with some grilled chicken or salmon or something, or whatever they like, a
Right.
protein, one protein and something else green in there.
Right.
I know a lot of the children are doing virtual learning. They're at home. Sometimes it's like easier access to the refrigerator.
And they're sedentary.
They're
Yes.
sedentary and they're buying, mom and dad are buying snacks. Look, keep them busy and away from me so I can get my work done. They can get their work done. You have to make it work.
Right.
Just different choices. Just introducing them to different things. Shopping a little bit differently. Again, looking at your labels. Always eating vegetables that are either fresh or frozen. It's
Right.
always a better option than something that's canned. Staying away from meat and pork and that's cool, but you got to enjoy it when you was a kid. They can
Right.
enjoy it a little bit too.
Right.
I just
Right.
don't, personally, I don't care to pull children away from that altogether. But
Right.
anything is okay in moderation. Anything
Moderation.
is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is okay in moderation. You don't have to have 5 pieces of bacon.
Right.
2 pieces, and that's it. It's done.
Right.
Wet your
Right.
palate, and it's done. Sometimes we just have to learn how to just kind of get a handle on things, put some parameters on things. You know what I mean? And that's in all aspects. Sometimes when you grow up and you are in a certain socioeconomic status, and
There
then
you go.
you go off to school and you make a better life for yourself. Oh, my children will never have to. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cut back a little bit.
Right.
Cut back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because sometimes it just carries. It carries from food. It carries to clothes, tennis shoes, everything. You just
Right.
feel some of the children just feel entitled. But that's another
Right.
talk too.
So that's gonna be
But
another
at any rate,
conversation.
yeah, another conversation. But really, if we could just incorporate just more fruits and veggies, like you would just be doing a whole lot better. No, you can't take starch and carbs out of your diet
Right.
altogether, but just incorporate more fruits, veggies, proteins, your lean meats, protein, fish,
Mm-hmm.
chicken, turkey,
Right.
that sort of thing. Instead of frying, if we can bake, grill.
Right.
Faster is not always better. Sometimes I stop using that microwave. Sometimes
Right.
just put it in the oven.
Yes.
It takes a little bit longer,
Yes.
and it kind of disciplines ourselves as
Mm-hmm.
well as you're showing your children. Sometimes instant gratification is not always the answer. We may have to wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. I was getting ready to say, you touched on patience. You touched on being organized, because meal planning takes organization. It definitely takes budgeting, and it takes, that's meal planning, and also communication, right? One thing I have learned, and I'm sorry to break your wisdom, because I know you were on a roll, but one thing I have learned, and it's been beneficial to me, keeping those lines of communication open. Like, my kids were homeschooled, so they had to learn how to read labels, because that was their health and nutrition program that I put together for them. So they had to know how to read labels. They had to know what to look for, the different types of sugar. So everybody doesn't have that experience. Like, they don't teach that in school. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
yes, they had an advantage of being home and learning certain things and no, you don't have, your protein and then starch, you know what I mean? Like you
Right.
can't do that.
Right.
And you know that if the first ingredient is high fructose corn syrup, you're not going to have that. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
But then as parents, we are having these conversations with our kids. A lot of parents are not communicating with their children. They're not, and I say communicating, I'm not saying, go get this, let's do this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying really having some communication around the fact that a lot of foods are processed. And so we don't want to eat. And yeah, sometimes it's very convenient. I would love to be able to, put something in and take it out in 2 minutes, but being patient and knowing that when you prepare a meal, your baked potatoes are going to take a while. Your vegetables, that whether you roast them, like you said, whether you roast them or whether however, it's going to take time. Making that salad is going to take some time. And I think that we've moved away from that in a sense, if that makes sense to you. When you communicate with your children, when you're communicating in general as a family, meal planning should be like okay, what are we going to eat this week? You may not be able to do it every single week because I struggle with it, time management, but it helps. And they have that input, whether they're this big or this big. So that's right. Crucial. That is so crucial.
That's right.
And I know some families may not have, like you said, the advantage that our children have had. They may not have the advantage of having fresh fruits and vegetables on a regular basis. When I tell you, when I was in Baltimore City schools, we had a fresh fruits program. I had kids that never knew there were different colors to tomatoes. You understand?
Wow.
They never knew that. And it was like, what? Like, they didn't know that there were different types of oranges. So you had mandarins, you had tangerines, you had this. They did not know that. And I'm saying, again, you look back at yourself and say, wow, okay, I have to make sure that I teach my kids so that they could teach their kids and even if they teach their friends, GMOs versus non-GMOs, organic versus this. It is hard and it does cost money to eat healthy.
It does.
But it's always something that you could do to, even if it's just a salad, as opposed to some wings from Chicken Stop or,
right.
or whatever the case may be. We grew up on, it's not like we didn't experience that.
Yes.
It's
That's
not
right.
like we didn't have a Caporal or Kennedy Fried Chicken when we were growing up, but the way that the food is being processed now is a little bit different. It's a lot different. I'm not even gonna say a little bit different, a lot different. So here's the other question. So hypothetically speaking, I'm a parent of a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and my 8-year-old is overweight, right? My 8-year-old his pediatrician is concerned about his blood pressure because it's a little high. But my 8-year-old, likes to play the video games and so forth and so on. As a parent, what would you prefer? What would you say to me professionally? Like, okay, Mr., I think maybe you can XYZ. What would you do?
Well, surely, even if the baby is overweight, like we don't hone on it, you're working on it and you're working on it together. We know there's an opportunity for growth there. Right. Fine. Include more activities. I probably will pull away from a lot of the games, the video games, but okay, basketball, that's a lot more work for you, but basketball, football, golf, tennis, sports, other things to get the children more mobile, move around.
That's a good one.
Going to the mall, just walking around and looking. We used to call it window wishing. Right. Walking around in the mall you know, just looking at different things. We used to go to the museum.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that.
Yes.
I can remember your mom and my mom talking about, you know, trips like that they used to do with us when we were young. Going to the museum. They still have some activities that you can, even with COVID, that you could go, put your mask on and, you know, go see some of the historic sites that you may have in your city. Because sometimes even if you're not from the city that you have transplanted to, sometimes when you get involved in your day-to-day activity and you're busy, you forget, like I'm here in Atlanta and I don't even think I've been to the Martin Luther King, you know, his house. Right. Like I've never been there. I've never even ridden on the public transportation here. But these are things, if I was a tourist, I would do.
Yeah.
Hey, right. Take advantage of those things. You know, I've never been to, you know, everybody in New York has been to the ball drop New Year's. Or here we have
I haven't been.
Oh, you've never been?
No, you know I don't do crowds. You know that. I can't do that.
Wait a minute. Now, wait. Now I have to check. Are you a real New Yorker?
I am.
Everybody, yeah, you are.
No, I can't do it. It's the crowds. It's that's my own thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Well, every New Yorker has been to the Empire State Building.
That's true.
Empire State Building.
Yes.
Maybe not Statue of Liberty, because I haven't been to Statue of Liberty. But Empire State Building.
Things like that, people travel from all over the world. But these are things that we can do. You know, to get the kids out and about. It may sound a little corny, but you just want to mobilize these children. That's what I would recommend. I would, again, when they're young, it's very easy. Well, maybe not so easy, because these children are a little verbal now. You know, when you and I was coming up, you just ate what was in front of you. But no, I don't want this. They have so many choices. But you want to just ease in a change in the diet, more fresh fruits and vegetables, instead of having maybe some, I don't know, crackers or cookies or chips or whatever. Here, why don't we try some sliced apples with apple butter or whatever, you know, whatever healthy that you may have. Or if you find that, you know, the baby may like something, maybe apples now I'm going to tell you something that my mom used to make for me, and it's really good. Like green beans, fresh green beans with applesauce. Like that tastes delicious. I am dead serious. That is delicious. I mean, absolutely.
I would never think of that.
Oh my God. That is so good. Green beans with applesauce. Oh my God. I bet you can get that to your baby. He would love it. But if you find something that he really likes, you know, you just try to incorporate it and just kind of run with it. But I just think activity, because their metabolisms are so fast and they just have so much room to recover. Even if they are a little bit plump, they're still growing, they're still stretching, you know, swimming. I mean, anything. Swimming is probably one of the best sports that you could get your son involved in. You know, you exercise every muscle in your body. With swim.
And it's good for your joints and stuff too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So that's what I would recommend. But something about these video games, these children, they just get stuck. I mean, for hours and hours on end. And it really is no good to be that sedentary. And
it is a gift and a curse. I will say that. The video games, because mentally, yes, it keeps you astute. You know, you have to be able to navigate. So yes, that part, it'll make you think critically. However, sitting for so long, it's just not good. And I have had to get in and like, okay, it's time. We got to get up. My kids I'm fortunate enough that when they were younger, I did that, you know, vegetables, water, you know, all of that stuff. They stayed active. We were always doing something. Now that they're teenagers, it's more of a struggle. So the benefit of having them in some type of athletic program, for me, that's what has been working, you know, for me. But I know one thing, and this kind of leads into what I was going to ask you next. have you noticed that since COVID, there's been like an increase in younger folks, and I'll say little ones, the littles, being, like having weight gain, more health
Mm-hmm.
issues or something like that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
it's
yeah.
because
It,
of the lack of.
the lack of mobility, they're just in the house. They're in the house. You can't go anywhere, or you're fearful, and rightfully so. You're
Right,
fearful, but it's not even the little ones. It's like everyone,
right,
even a lot of the nurses and doctors. Like especially in my job, we talk about, hey, I done picked up a few pounds
right.
because you go to work, you come home, you go to the grocery store, you come out. For me personally, I know I work around COVID.
Mm,
It's no telling who I'm around,
right.
because now they don't even test as often. So I don't want to feel responsible for going to an event or a function and me,
Bringing something
inadvertently
home.
infecting someone else,
Right,
and someone really gets ill from it.
right.
So I try my best to just stay away. I've missed so many events. I've missed funerals. I've missed like half of my family
Um,
because of this. So I just pretty much, I go home. I put on weight, I go
oh,
to
I
the
get
store.
it.
If I go to the store, pick up what I have to pick up, and I keep it moving,
Right.
you know. But yeah, everybody. It's not only children,
It's
but
adults.
right. What do we do?
Right. What do
And
we do?
everyone does not have the luxury of, well, go in the backyard and run, or you
Right,
know what I mean.
right,
Everyone does not
right.
have that luxury. So what do you do? you
Mm.
know um
How
it's
do we,
hard.
I, it is. And I'm sorry, because it's so many, I have so many thoughts in my head about this, and no, I don't have littles, but I do, I still have teenagers. We still live in the age of COVID. We're still, very hesitant about doing things. Um, you know, my kids have to get tested every week for athletics. That's a different story. I'm able to manage it a little bit more because they are older, right? But and I wanted to get back to heart disease in a minute, but when you're talking about like the socioeconomics involved,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people don't have that advantage of, yeah, go outside, go out, because going out the door may mean something totally different, you know?
That's right.
Going
That's
outside
right.
may mean something totally different. They may not have the space in their residence, their home, to run around, to do whatever it is. And so it restricts you from doing a lot of stuff. Then you factor in the food, the food aspect, and not being able to necessarily afford the better cuts of meat, the better produce and fruits. It's so much that certain communities are being burdened with because of where we are in society. And I'm so fearful because I think about the next generation, like the littles, when they grow up again, are they going to make it to 50? Are they going to make it to 60? How do they know if it's a little shortness of breath? How do they know that it's not heart disease? How do they know that, oh, it's just that I'm a little overweight? Or I don't know. I just have so many concerns because, again, I didn't ask all these questions when I was younger. I didn't.
Hmm.
My mother didn't share as much as I feel she should have. Um, and when she did, it was this much. I'm gonna give you this much, right? So it's like, how do you know that? Okay, so when my chest is a little tight, does that mean my behind is fat and I need to lose some weight? Or does that mean, like, yo, for real, I might have something going on? Everybody doesn't like to go to the doctor. You know that, you in that field.
Right, right, right. So what I find now is that when I take care of folks who are, I'd say, 60s, 70s, I find that you didn't talk about that. You didn't talk about illness. in that era. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When a physician is having a conversation and, Hillary, I need a nurse with me. Come on, sit down, just listen.
Right.
So I can say that we had this conversation with the family member, and they're told, their daughter or nephew, whoever the caregiver is told, hey, your loved one has cancer, or, she's had this, kidney disease for so many years or whatever. What?
Yep.
No, my mom never said anything.
Right.
That was hidden.
Mhm.
That was hidden. That was nothing that you talked about.
Right.
If someone had cancer when we were growing up, when we were in our teens and 20s, that was a secret.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
You don't talk about that. Okay.
Right.
They took that to their grave.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot different now.
Mm-hmm.
Folks are more transparent.
Mm-hmm.
You have ancestry.com.
Right.
This is generate. What is this, Generation X or generate? This
Girl,
is
I
the
don't know,
computer, digital. Everything is digital.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to know where they're from, the DNA, the RNA, and everything in between.
Right.
So maybe it won't be as bad. Maybe you have Google now. I've taken care of ladies who were delivering their baby and they have their laptop open. Okay, now you said that I'm 4 centimeters. Okay, so here on the internet, if I'm 4 centimeters, my water should have broken already. So is someone coming in? Oh yeah. So you have Google now. I just think there's more resources. Healthcare has shifted from curative to preventive, where they are honing in on prevention and teaching and resources and things like that, so that you don't have to deal with, okay, now we have a problem.
Right.
So years ago, the talk was, know the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. Well, now if you go on the American Heart Association website, they'll talk about early signs and symptoms of a heart attack. These are some of the symptoms, subtle symptoms that you may experience. This may be an indicator that, you may be in trouble. The heart attack didn't happen, but you may be in trouble. American Heart Association is a really, really good resource. Center for Disease Control is also a really, really good resource, especially if you are going to that annual appointment. And you know what? I checked my blood pressure this morning and I'm taking my blood pressure medicine as my doctor told me. My blood pressure was 158/98. I feel great. Well, if it's 150, now you look at me like that, that's not good. Somebody else may not know. But if you go to one of those websites and just get the normal parameters, the reference ranges, that you know what I mean? So this way you have some information to pull from when you are talking with your doctor. I mean, surely you don't have to have a laundry list of questions or, concerns, but if you have 2 or 3 questions, that's good. You're armed with a little bit more information that you can pass on to your children or, your friends or book club, wherever you can pass this information on. So I think it's a little bit better than it was years ago. Okay. Because I know for a fact, family members that were, my aunts and uncles, they didn't talk about their illness. That was nothing. That was nothing
taboo.
To talk about.
It's like it's taboo.
Right. You just didn't talk about it. But this generation now, they want to know. They want to know. You have Google. You're looking things up. Why am I this size?
Right.
Mom, I'm supposed to be smaller. So they're a little bit more inquisitive. So hopefully, we will have a more educated or a more insightful
that's
future
your gift and curse. That's your gift and curse with the technology.
Yeah.
You have so much. I mean, think about, oh gosh, I'm gonna date us a little bit. Think about when we were, what kind of computer did we have? What, like,
it's
right?
antiquated. Right.
Right?
Antiquated. Yeah.
We had the Commodore 64,
Right.
or that
That's
that
right.
kind of thing, versus where we are now, even
Right.
20 years ago versus where we are now. So they have so much at their fingertips that
That's
it
right.
is an advantage. The disadvantage is that they think that they can find everything. Google is not
Right.
like
Right.
Google
Google
is
is
not
not a doctor's
everything.
visit.
Right.
Right. It's not a doctor's visit. You still have
You,
to go. Right.
right. You still got to go. But there
Right.
is the advantage that they have at least a little bit more information. And remember, they're not reading as like we would have to go and get a book or get a magazine or, travel to the
Right.
library or something like that. They don't have that. It's too accessible for them now, which
Right.
it is a good thing. But then, like I said, it's a gift and a curse. I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like women are more prone to heart disease than men. Is that
Well, I don't know if women are more prone to heart disease than men, but men will exhibit more classic symptoms. Women, oftentimes, you'll have a heart attack and won't know it. For example, my very first cardiac patient, I was in New York. I
Mhm.
was a fairly new nurse in one of the teaching hospitals in New York, and I took care of a furrier. And she was about 40 years old, and her only complaint was, I am just so tired. She said, I can work. She said, I can sleep 8 hours. I get up in the morning, it's like I never had a wink of sleep. So she said one day she was showing furs. She was in her studio, she was showing furs. She said after about an hour or two, she was so tired, she had to go to the back of her office and just lay down.
Right.
Finally, she said, you know what? Let me go to my doctor. I'm just always tired. He did just a regular EKG. And an EKG just kind of tells the doctor at a glance the electrical activity in your heart, tell you what's going on. He said, you know what? He said, doesn't look bad. He said, but I think I want you to go to this cardiologist. He said, I just want to have you followed up. So the
Right.
cardiologist is a specialist.
Right.
And this doctor sent her in. She came to me preoperatively before surgery, and she was coming to get worked up. This lady probably would have dropped dead. She would have been one of those that dropped dead. And said, oh my God, she was just a picture of health. What happened? Just dropped dead. This lady, we have coronary arteries that just feed blood and oxygen to the heart.
Right.
Well, her main coronary artery was about 95% occluded. Her only symptom was she was tired. Never had chest pain, never had jaw pain, didn't feel tightness, didn't feel pressure, and that's common. And for some women, those that have diabetes,
Right.
sometimes you just don't feel anything. Sometimes you may
Right.
feel a little bit of tightness. You may feel like, oh, I think I ate something spicy. I have a little GERD, a little upset stomach, a little heartburn, but they're actually having a heart attack. So for women, it's not so much that they're so much more prone. It's just the symptoms sometimes are so subtle. Sometimes it can be missed.
Wow.
Sometimes you'll even have where someone, oh, I've had this terrible tooth pain, and it's their heart. It's their heart. So that's what it is with women.
I didn't realize it. You know what? Recently, this was recently, and I haven't done any real research on it, but I didn't realize that there was a connection between your oral activity and your heart. I did not realize that. But you said something. I'm like, man, sometimes I'm really tired. Now I'm thinking like, oh God, maybe I should get an EKG. Maybe I need to do that. Just because of the simple fact that you never know. That's the other thing. You never know. And I don't want to be, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who could say the same thing. Like, I don't want to keep running back and forth to the doctor. But it's like, okay, so when do you know? When do you say, like the lady that came in, just like, I need to go see somebody?
Well, because it was unexplained fatigue. It was just unexplained. It's like this lady was beautiful. I mean, a picture of health, and it was just unexplained fatigue. Like, why am I so tired? Have you ever had, like your stomach is upset, maybe you ate something wrong. You can kind of put your finger on, okay, I know why my stomach is upset.
Right.
I'll give it a minute, and let's see, after 24 hours, if I don't feel any better, then I'll go do something else.
Right.
But when it's unexplained, when you have a headache that's unexplained, it's like, why am I having this headache? I ate, I took Tylenol, like, okay, let me relax. Oh, but my goodness, I'm waking up again. This is the third day and I'm still having this headache. Oftentimes when you go to an emergency room and, you're being triaged, you're checked out by the doctor, and, maybe you're going for a headache. And oftentimes the doctor said, well, what made you come to the ER today? What happened different?
Right.
What happened different today to make you come? Because it sounds like you've been dealing with this headache. What happened today? And that's when okay, this is the defining point. Oh, this was an extreme headache today. This one, nothing broke. I took Tylenol, I took everything, and it didn't, help. So with heart disease, it for women, and for that lady in particular, it was the unexplained fatigue. She could not figure out. I went to bed at this time. She started to time it. Now I went to bed at 6:00 yesterday evening. I woke up 12:00 this afternoon. Why am I still tired? And I feel like I didn't get a wink of rest.
Right.
So that's when it's concerning, and you want to have it investigated.
Well, I'm gonna just say something. Raina tuned in and she said, we try to assess our symptoms rather than go check it out. I'm sure you have found that plenty of times, that we try to diagnose ourselves. Like, I do it. I have done it. I'm guilty, just like everybody else. But it's
Me too.
when do you stop looking at WebMD and say, you know what, let me just go in and see, what's happening? I think for me, it's a fear. I'm not even gonna change it up and dress it up. It's a fear. And then also knowing, well, with that fear, it's like, okay, I know my mother had boom, boom, boom. And I don't want to face that. If that makes sense.
Right.
I don't want to hear, oh yeah, LaShawn, you have boop, boop, boop. And I'm like, and I know my mother suffered for years, with that. I think that for me, that's my thing. But I've done it. I try to assess myself like, oh, that's just a cold. That's just a blah, blah.
Right.
And then we're women, because we try to take care of everybody else. We want to make sure everyone else is right.
That's right.
So Raina, you're right. You're right, Raina.
Yeah.
Try to assess ourselves. And Rhonda said facts. I'm reading the comments as you're talking. But I think and honestly, and in all honesty, we have so many concerns, and I don't want to say I know there are issues, but I want to make it so that it's not something that's permanent. It's we have concerns that in our communities, especially women of color, men of color, like our communities, where we don't address it because of the fear of going to the doctor, present company included, because of the history, in our families. And also it's like, I don't want to hear another thing. I don't want to hear, I've lost a certain amount of people in my family. I've this and other. I don't want to hear another thing. And and it's a mindset, and it is going to take some time to get past that. It's going to take time to really say, you know what? Okay, like the lady, the furrier, I've been tired enough. Let me go and see what's happening. I wish there was a magic wand and something that you could say, from a professional level, but also from a personal level, to encourage women, men, everybody. Listen, just go check it out. Go check yourself out. You're not a hypochondriac, you don't have to, don't. And again, relationships with doctors, it's like relationships with teachers, right?
That's right. You have to partner.
You have to partner. And I think that's crucial in our communities. I swear, I have like, again, I have, every time I talk to somebody, I have so many notes, but some of the things that you said, I've heard before. Meal planning is crucial. Meal planning is so crucial when it comes to our health, when it comes to our well-being, when it comes to our time and being able to, you run crazy hours. I'm not even gonna get into your hours. Your stuff is crazy.
Right.
But, and that's for a lot of us. We keep going, going, going. When do we say, okay, I need to get, what's a good amount, what's the average amount of sleep that we're supposed to get? What is it, 8 hours? I haven't seen 8 hours
Yeah.
forever. I don't even know.
Right.
It's like,
Right. I would say like, well, really, we should have at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep a day. I know children, they want them to have at least like 12 hours of sleep per day. Um, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I get 4, sometimes I
right,
get 3. Sometimes
right,
I just can't sleep. I just got to get up and do things,
right.
but it's really not good. So a lot of that is because of stressors, different
Mm,
stresses. I don't know if it's timelines we have to meet or things that just should have been done 3 weeks ago. And oh God, now my back is against the wall. I got to get it done. Let me get up a little bit earlier and try and get that done before I head out to work and that sort of thing.
right,
But at some point, we just have to kind of take things one at a time.
right,
But
right.
sleep is critical. I had a doctor tell me that your cells regenerate when you sleep.
Oh,
There
really?
is no such, oh yeah, there is no such thing as, oh, I'll make it up. So I know for sure, I used to work night shift. I worked night shift for many years. And I said, okay, I worked my 3 shifts. Tomorrow I'm gonna run all day. And then the day after, I'm gonna sleep and I'm gonna make up for the sleep that I missed. There is no making up. Once those cells are gone, it's gone. That regeneration period is over. I think it's between 10 a.m. and 10 at night to 4 a.m. or something like that. I can't remember the exact time, but your body, your cells regenerate. Sleep is critical for cell regeneration and cell health. Sleep, uninterrupted, sound, deep REM sleep. It is critical. And sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to get it in. Like you just have to.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out how, okay, so we need to go to sleep. That's what, I'm not poking
Right.
at anybody, but they say when you get a certain age, you have to take a nap. And I try, oh, I lost her. Well, I'm gonna continue. I know I try to take a nap. Hey, Beth. I tried to take a nap, but it's very hard. And I know I cannot get 8 hours. I don't know how anyone can manage to get 8 hours. If you do, please let me know. Put it in the chat. What can I do? I have ocean sounds. I have tried melatonin. I have basically tried everything I possibly could, but I cannot get past 6 hours. That's just a struggle for me. So if you have any, naps are essential. Yes, they are. And I remember laughing at older family members because they would like take a little nap. And I just thought, oh, that's something that old people do. But now I know that I'm in that phase and in that age range where I have to take a nap. It's critical. It's critical. There she is. It's okay. I kept the conversation going because I was asking folks how do they get the 8 hours sleep? I cannot get past 6 hours. I can't. And you're on mute. So you gotta unmute. And
Okay,
okay.
I'm there.
Wait,
Yeah.
I was asking the question because I saw you got dropped and I just kept the conversation going. Beth said naps are essential because I was saying how I would laugh at the older family members like, I take a nap, man. I ain't taking a nap. But it was like now I'm at the phase where naps are so they're critical, right? Beth also said CBD, baby. That's the next conversation. That's the next
Right.
conversation. And Rhonda said working out after work has helped me tremendously. Really?
Yeah, that's
So
good. That's good. That's good. Because you need to work off that stress, those cortisol levels. Like you need to work that stress off. Even if you're one that, no, I'm not stressed. My day was great. I'm fine.
I would love
No, the cortisol levels are elevated and you need to work it off. That she is correct. A walk, a brisk walk on the treadmill, Peloton, whatever, like 20-30 minutes. I mean, you don't have to do like an hour and, kill yourself, but
right.
20-30 minutes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's some good comments going on in the chat. And I don't know if you heard it, but Rhonda was saying as far as like we have to manage our stress, just basically what you were saying, the same thing. And Beth was saying that naps are essential. I would like to get back, and I don't know if I speak for many people, but I speak for myself. I know that I need to get back to like actually being more active as far as like working out and so forth and so on, and being able to really like, besides lose weight, because I definitely have to do that, but just being able to get back into doing those things that I enjoy doing, strength training, that kind of thing. But it's so hard when you talk about not getting 8 hours sleep. I really don't know what I don't know what it's like to sleep after 6 hours. If I get 6 in, that's a real good night's sleep for me,
Right.
But I need to get back into, and we're at that age where we have to be able to, like you said, be more mobile, work on our diet, our eating habits. I won't say
Right.
diet because that's a
Right.
word, really.
Right.
But our eating habits and incorporating more fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. My biggest issue is water. That's I don't drink enough water and I eat too much sugar. I have no problem with saying it. You know that I've always been like, chocolate is my love.
Yeah.
It's always been
Me
that.
too.
But it has gotten to the point, it's catching up to me. You know what I'm saying? It's catching up to me. And I need to be able to be more disciplined. And I think that's a key part to all of this, the discipline and having the discipline to either take a nap, like Beth said, or work out, like Rhonda said. And Brian said, this is a great service you two are doing for our community. We love you, Brian. Thank you.
We love you, Brian.
It is, I would say it's crucial. And I know that, professionally speaking, you have a perspective that you could share with us as far as, how we can make subtle changes. I'll say subtle changes. Start with me. Use me, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, weight gain, less mobility than I had. So
Okay.
what's your professional take on me? I'm the guinea pig.
So high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, know your numbers. Okay. So a normal blood pressure, here's your reference range, is that top number. That top number is called your systolic blood pressure, right?
Okay.
The bottom is your diastolic.
Okay.
The top number means this is how much effort it takes to push blood out of the heart and circulate all the way around your body. Okay.
Okay.
The bottom number means that this is what your pressure is when your heart is at rest. Okay. So when you have these blood pressures, I'm one of them, who the top numbers like 180, 190, over 90 or over 100, that's pretty high. So reference numbers for a normal blood pressure. The top number should be less than 120 and the bottom number should be less than 180. And you can go to the American Heart Association. If you don't have to write this down, like if you want to look at these numbers, you can go to the Center for Disease Control, CDC. You can look at that website. That's a really good resource. Elevated blood pressure. Elevated blood pressure, the top number, which is the systolic, is anywhere from 120 to 129. And the bottom number, which is the diastolic, it is still less than 80. So less than 80, meaning it could be 79. Okay. High blood pressure. High blood pressure, hypertension, okay, the first stage is a top number of anywhere from 130 to 139 with a bottom number of 80 to 89. Okay, some of us are still in the 130 to 139 range, and we're taking 1 and 2 blood pressure tablets already, right? Okay.
Mine is higher than that.
Right, especially when I get mad.
Right. Right. I could
So
feel it.
Yeah, right. So that's just our first stage. Second stage, high blood pressure, okay? The top number, which is the systolic, 140 or higher. And the bottom number is 90 or higher.
That's it? Okay. 90.
Okay, that's a stage 2. Now, what we call a hypertensive crisis, or look, you need to go see your doctor like ASAP, like now, is when the top number is higher than 180 and the bottom number is higher or equal to 120. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. Let's know our numbers. All right. So when you're going into that doctor's, or remember, we're still at the primary care visit.
Right.
The nurse said, before I saw you, doctor, my blood pressure was 138 over 98.
Right.
Currently taking Norvasc 5 milligrams and metoprolol 12.5 or 25 milligrams once a day.
Right.
Or twice a day, whatever. What do you think? What are your thoughts, doctor? One question. What are your thoughts? You okay with that? Is that okay for me? Because remember, we're all individuals, okay? Remember my aunt. My aunt's blood pressure was in the 200s for years. He said, Carol, if I can get you 140 to 150, I'm okay with that. So just a little check-in, partnering. Doctor, is that okay?
Right.
Where should we? Okay, well, I'm on 2 different blood pressures. Here's where we get to the partnering. Doctor, I really don't want to take another blood pressure medicine. What's a workaround?
Right.
Do I need to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds? Doctor, if I kind of come away from the fried foods and eat more fresh fruits and veggies, and then we can circle back and talk about this in a month.
Right.
Can we reevaluate things? That's partnering. I'm gonna do my part, you do your part. We're gonna come back and regroup, and we're gonna talk about this. Okay, let's see where we are. We're not letting it build and build until now we got to go to the hospital, or I had chest pain, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So when we go back to how do we deal with this, I'm fearful of, you know, what mom went through, you know, some of the things mom dealt with for many years. Well, we may not have to do that if we start to tackle things one by one. Sometimes folks may feel overwhelmed, like, God, every time I go to the doctor, something wrong, something
Right.
But let's start with at least going to the doctor. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I don't always go to the doctor. I told you sometime when the doctor called me, Hilary, no, my doctor, I work with him. He said, Hilary, I'm not writing another prescription. I have to see you. You have to come into the office. Okay.
Right.
All right, I'll come over there.
Right. Dang.
Right? Can't work on depletion. Can't have a double drowning, right? The children that you educate, or the adults that you educate that have to teach our children, they're depending on you, and you got to be there.
That's right.
So that's the first thing. Secondly, you know, what's a good goal for weight? Like, what's a target goal for weight? If weight is a concern, because you have some people who are of normal weight or very petite and thin, and their pressures are through the roof.
Right.
So weight may not be a problem. Remember, you have some things that we can't change, genetics,
Mm-hmm.
DNA, age, gender. Some things we can't change. Some things we can change.
Right.
Lifestyle is something that we can change. If we smoke,
Mm-hmm.
you may want to cut that out. Nicotine is a vasoconstrictor, so it will keep your pressure up. If
That's
you
not
smoke,
CBD. That's not the CBD, Beth. That's not
right. That's right. That's not right. It's not the CBD. If you have it, and it, when we talk about physical inactivity or not being as mobile, it's not about, oh, someone just sitting around all day watching.
Right.
Some people just work from home.
Right.
You have big administrative people that they work from home.
Right.
It means going back to organizing and structuring and carving out time for yourself. Nope, I'm going to get up from the desk and I'm going to walk.
Right.
I take 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and this I've got to do this for me. So sometimes we have to relearn what are healthy habits, and some things that we should limit, certain foods that we should kind of eat more of and stay away from some of the others. You like sweets, I love sweets. You know what I mean? I know certain things, like when I go to the store, certain things I know I can't bring in my house.
Right.
I know ice cream I cannot, because I just cannot stop with one scoop, one spoon, the whole container. I'm not
Done. Yep.
done until the whole thing is done.
Yes.
So I know things like that. Look, I can't control myself, so I'm just going to stay away from it. I'm just going to
Discipline.
remove myself from that equation.
Discipline.
Discipline. Yeah, discipline. I'm not so disciplined, but certain things I just know I can't mess around with that, because I'll eat it all.
Okay.
You can just start with like 3 things. Journaling. I just read an article, and 47% of people who journal, I think it was 42% people who journal, they were more successful with meeting their weight loss goal. Journaling, because when you journal, you get to reflect on, oh, I ate all of that. Oh man. And even
it's
that
it's the ugly
right,
truth.
even that My Fitness Pal, like just looking at, oh, I didn't know I ate all of that. Ooh, that was quite a bit. Or journaling, hey, I got up from my desk. I made a conscious effort at 12 o'clock. I got up from my desk. I got out. I walked around the block 3 times, and I stayed out there 20 minutes.
Right.
Journaling.
Okay.
Sometimes journaling is really good as a stress reliever.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But you would never think that food journaling would have that same effect, right?
Right. So just, you don't have to have a laundry list of things to do. Just start with 1 or 2 things, little by little. We always hear that phrase, oh, Rome wasn't built in a day. No, it wasn't. We didn't pick up the weight or develop high blood pressure overnight or have cholesterol overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some things we just have to do little by little, 1 step at a time.
That's right.
Baby steps. And then you'll get to your big goal of health, of good health.
Well, I know we ran over time, but guess what? I think this has been one of the most informative, eye-opening, and I guess challenging conversations. And again, because it is a topic that is true to, and dear to our hearts, because of our personal connection, for both our mothers, and just the work that we do. And so I know I've gained a lot. I mean, there's some things that I know, but I never, like, there are some things I would never think, like, okay, so what's the goal as far as the numbers are concerned? I would never think to ask it. I'm just thinking, okay, we need to lower that blood pressure.
Right.
And keep it in mind that things that we did before, or things that I did before, okay, you need to tap back into that.
Right.
Tap back in, right? And get it together. I guess going to see that primary care physician a little bit more. and moving around a little bit more. I do miss being more fit. I do,
Mhm,
I struggle with it, and I don't, I'm sure other people may struggle with it too.
mhm.
But it's a lot of information that has been gained here. I'm going to try and get more sleep. I swear, I really am going to try. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm going to try to get more sleep, just because, it's necessary. And, at this stage of the game, we are on the flip side. So now it's other things that we have to do and make more of an effort, to be on the right path. Before it was easy. We could eat that half a gallon of ice cream.
Right.
Please, child, my hips is looking good, minus, and it wasn't a big deal. Now it's like, ooh, okay, it's the hips and it's the belly.
Yeah, it's more than just vanity now.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And I mean, so, and then I love you. I just love you so much. And I'm so thankful that
Oh,
because I know your time is crazy. But I'm so thankful. And we got a chance, because this has been a long time. We haven't had the chance other than last summer, right? We got a chance to see
right.
each other. But it's been a minute since we've been able to have like this type of conversation as adults, and to really look back at this is our family, history. And these are the
Mhm,
women that raised us, and we
mhm.
love them so much, but we know that I want to be able to make it past 70. You know what I mean? I want
Right.
to be able to live a little bit longer and not have to experience those things that our mothers had to go through. So I love you so much, and I'm so
I
thankful.
love you.
And Raina says, this was so informative, real talk. Thank you, Raina. Thank you, Dr. Hobson. That's my girl.
Thank you.
She's my other sister, I guess by default, because Rhonda's my other sister, but that's her sister. And she says, thank you, Dr. Stitt and Hilary. She also says, when is part 2? I guess we got to work on that, right? We got to
I
work
know
on
that's
part
right.
2. Follow up.
Anytime.
That's right. And so I'm thankful that you had the time. I know you're tired, but
Oh, absolutely.
hopefully,
Anything for you.
I love you. Hopefully, folks gain something from this, and we got to work on part 2. We really do.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm
I
going
thank
to say,
you.
yeah, I'm going to say good night to everyone. Hill, I'm going to pause the recording.
Okay.
But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. I know Hilary appreciates it as well.
Absolutely.
If we have, when we get part 2 together, we'll let everybody know when it's time. Okay. All right. Good night.